What's up, guys? Iceman here. So I've been watching videos on YouTube about some strange things, and I know that some of you know what I'm talking about. But first off, I'd like to say, I think it's important to approach these things with an open mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're talking about Jesus and all that, and Christianity and the Bible, you got to remember that in the Bible itself, when we're going through the New Testament, reading about when Jesus was here, walking around, fulfilling the prophecies or whatever, remember it was the religious folks of the day who rejected him. It was the religious folks of the day who killed him. And I'm talking about the scribes and Pharisees, not just your common churchgoer. I'm talking about the people who would actually be the ones teaching the churchgoers, all right? Remember, they said that he was a demon. And they said to themselves, surely he's not the fulfillment of prophecy. Surely this isn't the one who was sent for us by God that we've been reading about in the Old Testament. In the scriptures that we've memorized. They memorized the scriptures, and they lived in the context. All right? And they still killed him, because they were that convinced that their theology was right. All right? So the strange thing is, churchgoers of today, and the common Christian of today, and the common church leader of today, how much more wrong might they have it? What's actually going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is actually to come according to the scriptures? And what has actually already happened according to the scriptures? How much more might they have it wrong if they're not the ones who were actually living in the context? They're not memorizing books of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? They don't spend like night and day reading this stuff. They're just like eating McDonald's and all that. And half of them probably Google up their sermons. I mean, you got to approach it with an open mind. Because what these folks are saying, they're saying that some interesting things have already happened, and we're living in a really strange time. They're saying that when Jesus told the disciples in front of him that some of them will not taste death before his return, that he actually meant it, and that actually happened. All right? That he was like seen from the sky and all that, and even those who pierced him saw him, and those who pierced him, you know, the people who cursed him on the cross, threw stuff at him, gambled on his lots of clothing and all that, and the ones who nailed him to it themselves. It seems like he could have been talking about that generation, just as he said, this generation will not pass away until these things happen. And then I started dabbing around a little bit, and check this out. It looks like I Googled this, all right? What happened in 70 AD? If Jesus was crucified in 33 AD or whatever, or is that when it was? I'm not really sure. This happened within a few decades after that. So a lot of those guys, those disciples of his or whatever, who were like 20 years old, 30 years old, are still going to be around. But remember how we said something about the temple being destroyed? And I think that's in Matthew. Do you see all these things surrounding him? Truly I say to you, not one stone here will be left upon another, which will not be torn down. And then we go down, and in 33, I think it is. So you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Gee whiz. I wonder if that's what happened. And then this Nero guy, because check it out, it says in 70 AD the Romans destroyed the temple in Jerusalem and looted its sacred contents. Oh. The Jewish folk left it and all that. And after the Civil War and the terror of Nero's reign, or Nero, is that how you say that? There's quite a case to be made about this Nero guy, that he did something with the Mark of the Beast in 666 and killed like a lot of these Israelites and all that. People say he was the Antichrist. I know it says that there's many of them, but people say that this is the one that did the whole Mark thing. Yeah. So basically they're pointing out all these weird buildings, like ancient buildings. There's like cathedrals and all that just look amazing. And they're saying that this stuff was all made way back when he came back from the sky or whatever. The cathedrals are really impressive. See, look at some of these things. How the hell did they make that? People say it took like all sorts of time and engineering and all that, and artistry and times of peace and this and that. Then they'll say there's like gargoyles on them and all that, or signs of Illuminati. But the thing is, after he went up to the sky or whatever happened, you got to remember, what it says here is that the devil's going to take over after that. This is after most of Revelation happened. Remember that? So when he says he's returning, this generation will not pass, he's returning, this and that. There's going to be 1,000 years where he's there. Reigning, right? But then, there's a little season where Satan's released to deceive the nations, is what it says. When the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations. Yeah. And don't you think that if Satan's is given the opportunity and power to deceive the nations, don't you think that he might lie and deceive? Isn't that what he does? Don't you think it might even get to the churches and the modern theologies? Like they'll keep saying, no, Jesus is right around the corner. Which in a sense he probably is. But not in this way, in that we think that all this stuff in Revelation before this has still got to happen. Like we're watching on TV all the Revelation stuff, and of course those folks are probably doing it intentionally. They're trying to make it seem like it's going to happen, or it's coming, or it's happening, when a lot of it has probably already happened. Like that, what a deception that would be. So don't you think that if Satan was released to deceive the nations, that if something like this did happen, he'd cover that all up. He'd say this is all Dark Age stuff and all that. And then all those gargoyles and stuff on it, or Illuminati things, he'd take those signs and make them into Illuminati things. You know what I mean? He'd like make all those symbols of wicked and evil and have them be like chasing other gods and all that. I mean, this stuff is probably all the Nephilim. They say that the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and the sons of God came to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. And those were the mighty men who were of old and men of renown. They talk about them being like these warriors. That's probably where all these things came from, like Zeus and all that, and all these gods of blessings and all that. They probably came from those sons of God. They were probably walking around. They're probably giants in some cases. Just like we see those depictions all over ancient architecture and art. We see the giants. You know, a lot of cultures talk about the giants. Probably how they made the freaking pyramids. But I'm just saying, is something going on here? Like, if he was let out to deceive the nations, people say that we're in this time right here. Alright. Don't you think we're living in an age of deception? I mean, you're pretty much an idiot for thinking that there's a God. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the social norm. You know, you're more in base and in reality when you think that we just all spawned from rain hitting a rock billions of years ago. That's more logical. So I'm just saying, if you approach this with an open mind, I wonder if this is what's going on. I wonder if we're living in this period where Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations. Which means that we get to look forward to whatever's happening right here. Gog and Magog, to gather them together for the war. Some people say that's Russia or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, that might just be deception again. Gather them together for the war. The number of them is like the sand of the seashore. Gee whiz. Some people say this camp of the saints is somewhere like hidden away. They say that's like at the North Pole or something, but I don't know. It could be like a metaphysical thing, but they say that they're like, it's all quarantined off and this and that, and like little military jets flying all around, not letting us see anything. But I mean, I have no idea. I'm just saying that could be metaphysical. Who knows? I mean, I don't even know if any of this stuff is, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, I'm speculating here, and it almost seems quite fitting how this could be a great deception. And what's interesting is, if the devil's running the show, it says that he's going to be given the authority to even change the times, make alterations in times. He will speak out against the Most High and wear down the saints, the highest one, and he will intend to make alterations in times and in law. Jeez. And they will be given into his hand for a time. So if it's given into his hand, the ability to make alterations in the times, don't you think that he'd do it? And don't you think that maybe the times that we've been told to the higher-ups, to the rulers and powers and principalities of the world, they might be changed? Because, I mean, Satan was given the authority to do that. Like stuff like this, they'd call it like the Dark Age or whatever. And they'd say, yeah, he never did return when he said he would. He was actually just speaking in metaphor, and it's thousands of years later, and he still hasn't. That's crazy. Because that's like an old saying, they're like, well, Christ, he said, well, where the hell is he? But yeah, I mean, we might be living right there. But I'm really curious what you guys have to say about that. And I'm going to be looking into this more, and I'm making more videos on this. But I mean, it's a different take on this whole thing, and it opens up all sorts of questions, and it could really be faith building, because I mean, look at this amazing stuff. There's some amazing. Is that even real right there? There's some amazing stuff that was made, and we don't see that sort of architecture anymore. People say that Christ is reigning for 1,000 years already. And we're seeing a decline now. We're seeing like art is like scribbles on a board now, isn't it? And we're seeing just the alteration of what is good. You know what I'm saying? The alteration of what is natural. It's being forced and taught through media, entertainment, news, and everything. It seems like the deception of the nations is going on, is what I'm saying. Where like up is down, left is right, this and that. But more videos to come on that. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about this. And if you will, like this video, and I'll talk to you about the next one. Peace be with you.